coming, but we got a draft through the drop. Prodota, Virtus.Pro, VP looking to punch their ticket into the playoffs. BTS series for EU division. MRP, Mike Lawrence here. Chronicle the action and route. Shadow Demon bans, not all that surprising. Prodota do get their Kefka Bat Rider. This is not often that it slips through the first or even second phase to go through to this team, and Kefka played almost a flawless game yesterday in their final BO2 series. But Prodota are looking to take this to a second set of BO1s. Virtus.Pro looking very sharp in the last game, Mike.
Prodota looked really, really sharp until they just didn't. Like in their game versus F5, they were really hot and then really cold in the same game. Really just like depended on what period of the game it was. Whereas for VP, they looked solid throughout the entire thing. And I don't know, I'd take consistency over hot and cold any day of the week. So just based off of that, just based off of what we've seen today, I think Virtus.Pro probably 70+% chance to just end the tiebreakers right here. They have the Kunkka, they have the Darkseer, and that in of itself is a pretty scary opening. AoE galore, but as we saw in the last game, they didn't really need all the AoE, but as you said, Prodota, getting the Bat Rider, getting the Mirana, they're still in their comfort zone, so they definitely do have heroes that can handle this, namely with that arrow.
Yeah, big throwback combo assembled here from Virtus.Pro, and facilitated the Darkseer pick by virtue of the ban on the Oracle for Prodota. So getting rid of the Sand King as well. Not often that we see Kunkka or Shadow Demon make it through the first phase. Kunkka will be the one to make it through this time. IO ban going to be coming out from Virtus.Pro, and a very early Jug ban going to come out. So maybe wanting to rely on the Mirana Starstorm to do quite a bit of damage. It's likely to be Pingvinchek picking that up towards the mid lane, but it does offer versatility. The Prodota, they can, of course, much like VP did in the last game, throw Mirana down into that 4 role if the draft necessitates it being so. OD ban is going to come out from Virtus.Pro, so recognizing there still could be a Pingvinchek hero to come out, and back to the Void they go for VP side. This worked out very well for them in the last game. They've got a boat on top of it and a torrent, so much like the last game, do have some things to commit into the Chronosphere. They'll have, the Ion Shell to throw on the Void as well if need be, but it looks like in this one it'll be a safe lane Void, likely for Ramses.
Got a lot of mobility on both sides. X marks Surge for Virtus.Pro, acting kind of as more like anti-mobility tools, and I'd say Bat Rider and Mirana maybe need their mobility a little bit more than the VP side. So VP have some sort of an edge on them as far as that one is concerned. Like once you drop the Chronosphere, you don't have to blink around and move places. You just dump damage in there, and you're usually going to be good to go. So I do think this is probably a slightly advantageous start from VP, just because they have more answers to a Prodota have than vice versa. They have an arrow, they have a shackle, they have a lasso rather from the Bat Rider, and that's all well and good, but it's not always going to lead directly into a kill. First of all, they have to land those tools, and doesn't seem like they have, at least no great tools at facilitating an early game or even mid game arrow from the Mirana until the Bat Rider gets his Blink Dagger and Force Staves and whatnot. And again, even then, it's like X marks is going to be there. Prodota picking up the Dazzle certainly is pretty interesting. Would maybe suggest they're going to go for perhaps a little bit of cheese, but saving a Mirana, saving a Bat Rider, not really fantastic.
Yeah, Weave not all that great in this game either. So there's a lot of magic damage over on VP's side. It's going to be a pretty diverse damage profile coming out from them. And it probably solidifies that the Mirana is a core. So I feel like it's a bit telling as to their draft. Mirana Dazzle is a bit of an underwhelming support combo together. And as you mentioned, there's no setup there for the Mirana arrow. And Mirana as a core relies much less on having her arrows land than she does as a roamer or a support. So likely to see Pingvinchek pick that up. And it looks like Virtus.Pro, much like in game 1, Solo has had great recognition throughout the draft. He seemed to very much control it against F5, and he seems comfortable here as well. Still a lot of damage to dump into this Chronosphere. Disruptor, Kunkka, a very nice combo. You can, have the X and the Glimpse. So you mentioned mobility. They have chase ability as well on Virtus.Pro's side. Prodota going to go for the Sven here. for their safe lane, and there's a lot of magic damage and a lot of control on Virtus.Pro's side, so this worries me a bit. It's going to force him into a relatively early BKB, I feel, or, you know, they're going to rely entirely or very heavily on the lassos from Kefka being, you know, well chosen and being able to drag heroes back into this Sven's hands.
This disruptor also could have been absolutely crippling if Prodota themselves picked it up, juggled their heroes to make that work. Disruptor dazzle support, you know, not the best in and of itself, but going up against the Darkseer in and of itself, you got the glimpse to try to counter that surge, and silencing the void or the Kunkka out of their combos would have been really big game. Sven can't really do that all that well. You know, maybe there'll be situations when he has a blink dagger and VP just don't expect that to come, but great pick for VP in the fact that it also protects their own draft quite a bit. It's like, outside of some random silencer pick last from Prodota, it seems like VP's combos should be landing for the most part without too much of an issue. And for Prodota, well, they need BKBs, right? And even then, it's going to be BKBs going into Chronosphere. It's not going to be entirely safe. Or
Here we
pick up
go.
a Pudge and just take them out of their positioning.
Okay.
That's good too, I guess.
I don't hate this from Prodota. I figured the very safe pick was like an Omni Knight, but I think you're just picking to lose in that scenario. And this is Prodota kind of recognizing, all right, guys, let's play to win. We lost the draft. Let's pick something and try and make something happen. And Mirana and Pudge, both pretty good against the Chronosphere. You can throw an arrow in, you can throw a hook in, and try and throw a wrench into the plans of Virtus.Pro. The problem for that is they have a lot of other setup. They have, you know, Glimpse, they have X, they have the vacuum into boat or vacuum into torrent combos. So I think Virtus.Pro don't rely as heavily on the void as maybe Prodota would hope. But I do love the flare, and I love the all-in of this Pudge pick in the 5th slot for Prodota. A lot of this is going to be on the early game. It feels like once, you know, Virtus.Pro get their items up, are they to get you know, some sort of tank ability item for the void up, as well as the mechanism on the Darkseer, it feels like they're fairly unkillable. But those are the Morphling in the 5th slot here, so kind of that late game insurance policy, which means they'll put no one in the mid on the Faceless Void. Start him off with a Poor Man's Shield. You know you're facing up against a Mirana more than likely. I mean, you're not going to take much damage at all in that lane, so I don't hate the decision at all from VP, and I have to give props to Solo for all day drafting very well.
I mean, the Morphling doesn't really have any great counters on the other end. There are a good amount of disables on Prodota, but as far as layering them properly, not always going to be an easy feat going up against the Disruptor and, you know, all these interference spells, and then you just, you know, replicate away as Morphling. Usually you're going to be fine. I gotta say that Virtus.Pro once again have drafted just an amazing draft, much like in their last game. And for Prodota, it's gonna be for sure a tough game. Lane wise, they don't really have any huge discernible advantage. They don't really have any great hero to go up against the Darkseer, shut down his Iron Shell, shut down his Surge. No Oracle-esque hero on the Prodota side. And yeah, they do have the Ping Mirana, they have the Kefka Batrider. These are very comfortable heroes to have for their side, but as always, it seems like whenever you pick a Pudge, you got to find some pretty good success with a Pudge. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to be a man down. And Come With Me is not one of those like famous Pudge players, you know, but I'm looking forward to see what he has to bring to the table.
Someone was, I think, beginning to type Bliet, and then someone else typed Prodota_RU. VP having a little fun amongst themselves on the map, but yeah, it definitely feels like they're in high spirits right now. No one gonna head towards the mid lane without regen. He'll probably ferry out a Salvers out of Tangos after picking up the bounty rune, but I like his matchup there, and I think you mentioned the most key part about these two drafts is that Pudge is a feast or famine pick, and if you don't get enough done in this early game here, VP, if they're able, once again, seems much like in the first game, and this is just, you know, attributed to Solo's drafting. If they come out of the lanes even, it feels like Prodota are going to be at a disadvantage. So we'll see how this ends up panning out. Ramses and Kefka getting into a little bit of war of words in the top lane, and Morphling, of course, has 10,000 base damage, so always going to be difficult to trade with that hero, despite having sticky napalm or not. Oh, Kefka, luckily so, is going to dodge the torrent, but can he dodge the kinetic field? He's going to feed first blood. Solo will be the one to pick it up here, and maybe that's an early set of boots for Disruptor to make this lane even harder.
Dude, they're just like having a casual discussion in the background while people are killing each other on the top lane. Pretty standard opening to a game, but yeah, as Batrider trying to tango with the Morphling, you definitely don't expect a Kunkka to come from the south there and Disruptor to come from the north. It's just suddenly two extra heroes that Kefka has to deal with. Dropping first blood there isn't going to be the end of the world, far from it, but it is going to signify that this lane is going to be a little bit tougher, and already it is pretty darn difficult. Once level 2s come up, you get the X marks, or you even just get glimpse into Torrent. A little bit of a more jank combo, but they have enough disables. They should have enough damage to kill off this Batrider, so Kefka has got to play this a little bit more carefully. Pasha, in the meantime, he's loading out the Iron Talon, so he's just going to say, screw this bottom lane. You want to feast or famine on your Pudge? Well, I'm not going to give you a chance to do anything. I'm just going to go ahead and jungle.
Yeah, he's going to make his movements a lot more predictable. He's going to have to be going towards a mid lane where there's a time walk out, a top lane where there's so much control, and a waveform if need be. So I think it's a very wise decision from VP. And once again, they picked the Darkseer into an Oracle last time, put him right into the jungle, and they'll be able to put this salve up. Looks like he'll be fine for the time being, and power will help him out a little bit, throwing some damage into the Kunkka, but he'll have more than enough regen to be just fine here. So now the Prodota early game is looking a bit rough. Not sure where exactly you go as Come With Me. He is going to execute a pull through.
How do they keep catching him with these fields? Solo just puts it on the ground and Kefka can't get out.
And that'll be the second time the Batrider takes a spill, and we all know kind of the changes to this hero's jungling ability have kind of rendered him, very docile in that front. And so with only level 1 as well, Kefka is forced to stick around in this lane, and he has been punished for it heavily thus far, whereas his counterpart in the Darkseer up in the jungle, as you mentioned, sitting on 6 CS right now. So everything coming up Virtus.Pro in the beginning of this one.
More levels that VP get on the Disruptor Morphling, the less they're going to need the Kunkka, which of course means the more pressure they can apply towards pingman check. It isn't really going to be entirely relevant until X marks the spot comes up at least level 1, but having a Kunkka who's more free to roam is just going to give a little bit more of an edge towards this Faceless Void, who already has the base damage advantage and then some in the lane, but up against the burst, up against potential rotation from someone like a Pudge who can just destroy your lane no matter what, it does make it so it's a little more secure. Speaking of, they're going to go for pingman check right away. Does still have the leap, should be fine unless he gets randomly bashed. No one thinking about going in. He's going to go and
he gets bashed.
Pingman check's dead to one more club. There it is. That's 15% to get the kill. Otherwise, I think he doesn't. Sometimes lucky.
Nicely played over all their aggression wise, and they are rewarded, as you mentioned, with fortune there from VP's side. And this game could not be going any worse right now for Prodota in the early going. Come With Me has executed a couple pulls though, and despite not getting any kills done, he is level 3 on this Pudge, and the control he offers hereafter in the game could be invaluable. Garter as well is essentially getting solo XP in this lane, so whereas they're able to bring down Kefka a couple of times, the Morphling does have his supports nearby, but those couple of kills actually are what puts him over the edge, and he's almost a full level ahead of Garter at this point.
Garter is just, as a Sven, a little bit more explosive than a Morphling. Even a Morphling who's a little bit further ahead in net worth and experience than the Sven can still fall in a man fight or whatever, just because Sven with God Strength is so powerful. And of course, he will have a couple of stacks. I would assume Ancients being created in just a little bit. So yeah, Garter will have at least the opportunities to just kind of handle this game all by himself, more or less, should it come to that. So he's still in a pretty good spot here, but having a Batrider that's just almost completely locked out of the game is not good times. Kefka now forced to jungle, and that's never good times. Ping is still doing okay, all things considered, but he's not even doing better than the Faceless Void. He's closing out at level 6 mark. Once that comes up, it's so much easier to kill off someone like Imran, so they do have to try to stop him. Kind of weak with Come With Me around the corner. If you land a hook, I don't think that's a kill. You have to land a hook and an arrow, which requires some insane coordination.
Now, level 2 hook was pure damage, but not nearly enough to kill off this Void, and got 3 levels in the time walk, so it's going to be a difficult kill. Rot comes through, there's the time walk out, and no anticipatory arrow coming through from Ping, so simply just a little bit of intimidation jump in the mid lane. Ping will jump forward to cancel the salve, of no one, but still no kill potential, really no advantage gained in this lane. Now Pasha gonna get a little bit aggressive in towards the bottom lane, trying to chase down Biver. The poison touch will slow him down, and he is able to get away, but right into the hook in the hands of Come With Me. And as Pasha finally becomes or attends the lane, he will be sent back to the grave.
Perhaps he just didn't expect Dazzle, who had no lane opponents, to get that poison touch.
Yeah.
Like that, I wouldn't expect that. You haven't shown your face at all. Why would you get the offensive spell? It makes no sense. But certainly slowing the Darkseid down just a touch, and now he's going to teleport straight into what I assume is another hook. There's a hammer first, another hook to follow. Pasha still has a surge. Not enough damage. God Strength on Garter not up just yet. But he teleport right into an absolute mess, and now his lane is pretty much just as lost as Kefka's, and he's already just with an innate advantage. Level 5, got a lot of extra gold, whereas Kefka was struggling to get any sort of cash, and he can still stick around, send down the ion shells, and at least mess with this push attempt a little bit. So it is still great for Prodota, though. I mean, they are going to free up this bottom lane. They are going to get guard the extra bit of cash, and Tower should get him pretty darn close to that stackability of the Ancients, but they're going to go for Kefka again on the
Oh, they missed the wave for him.
Lands onto Lil, getting Come With Me, another kill. Kefka's still alive, he's going to salve up. Ramsey's one more shot, but he can't find him. Arrow going to miss, but with the Strength Morph, I don't even know if that's going to be enough. He's going to wait for him. Oh, finds Kefka blind. No, he actually saw him with the Observer Ward. Never mind. Hook going to connect onto Penguin Check. Doesn't matter. Ramsey is going to fight to his dying breath. Will kill off the Pudge. Still Strength Morphing. They can't kill him off. Now no one's going to arrive with the Chronosphere. Oh, catches Ramses, though. With the base damage, he's going to get a Lucky Bash. Penguin Check has a Star Storm. Still not enough damage. Triple kill for Ramses.
This is
for like 40 damage, yet still gets the kill.
This is where you spam your OS frogs, Twitch chat, but that is very rough. I mean, Kefka had played it nicely, but perhaps stuck around too long. He wanted to get one more stack of Napalm in, and I mean, that didn't really matter all that much when he wasn't contributing any more right clicks. So that waveform out for Ramses gets him the kill. It's a costly miss on the arrow coming out from Pingvinchek, and now Ramses will just scuttle his way back to base after picking up a triple kill here. So yeah, any relative advantage or recovery that Kefka gained to the Darkseer is now going to be eliminated. Come With Me missing a hook, Pingvinchek missing an arrow, everything just going wrong there for Prodota.
Ramses now with 4 kills. Like I said, that Sven can somewhat toe-to-toe with Morphling even while being a little bit behind, but 4 kills, lots of CS on top of the net worth chart. Morphling is definitely a lot further ahead than where Morphlings usually find themselves, and Guard is in a little bit of trouble as well. Can clear up a couple of ion shells. There is help coming in for him. Solo's got a level 2 glimpse, but there's backup coming in here for the Sven as well. Will chuck a hammer, find himself caught in a field. Moonlight Shadow is going to be countered by the Sentry Ward. Ion Shell's not going to do enough damage, and now with the Dazzle, they'll drop the wall to wall them off the Disruptor, and everyone's actually going to retreat.
Yeah, Kefka surviving because of that Moonlight Shadow as well, top lane. So a bit of convenience of usage there for Dota's side. But speaking of Ramses, they're going to distract the Sven. Ramses, in the meantime, will pick up a tower last hit, and now he'll be about 800 net worth ahead of his counterpart in the opposite safe lane. So Ramses having a great start. Does pick up the Ring of Health there, and will be able to stand around and farm for as long as he wants. Now going forward, can go right into that Dragonlance or Lincoln's here. Either way, he's got kind of the pick of the litter as to his item progression. It feels like it's going to be very difficult for them to kill him off, as we saw in top lane.
I mean, Morphling already is just a hero that has really awkward itemization. Like, there are so many good items on Morphling, but they're all like kind of expensive. Getting those kills will very much so smooth out those item purchases down the line. So, I mean, you can get those kills on any hero, and they're always going to be good. But Morphling, it's probably just, as far as his item sequencing, one of the better heroes to get all those kills on. We got Solo smoked up, not quite level 6. He's gonna run into a Bat Rider who's level 6 but with no lasso, so there's not really that much threat here with no one in the area. Prodota needs to land a hook. Come with me, show it to me.
Oh, just short for Come With Me on that level 3 hook. Had he had 7, likely lands that on no one, but unfortunate for him. And Pasha farming the enemy jungle. Biver down here trying to pick up some levels on the Dazzle, but Kefka is so far behind. He's not going to have his lasso for at least this wave of experience, and even then, no drums, no blink dagger, so does not feel like he'll be able to control this game up as we've seen him do on his Batrider in the past. And whenever that happens for Prodota, that's a pretty big loss. Come with me, gonna go for a hook in towards the mid lane, and no one easily able to dodge it. He'll jump forward for the Chronosphere. Hook was not up for 5 seconds, so this should be a kill on Ping, who does not actually leap out there and ends up paying for it as the boat finishes her off. X is there now. Come with me. Does find a hook onto Lil. He'll get the Dismember off, but the Torrent was there preemptively. Still, though, God Strength coming through. Lil, he'll be the first to drop. No one can time walk away. Ramses is now here, though. And, oh, they will find the lasso. He was already morphing strength, though. And the hook finishes off the Morphling. That is a massive kill with the pure damage coming through. Dominating streak going the way of Come With Me. Garter coming through, providing that burst in damage that was needed alongside the Alpha Wolf to be able to win that fight. And he will clean up some ancients with the residual duration of his God Strength. So very big fight for Prodota. Ramses coming in there, getting finished off. It was a bit of a misplay from Ping. I mean, I feel like he could have survived that. Not sure if he had used the pounce before the Chronosphere. Okay.
He had leap on cooldown. I don't know from what, but it wasn't available, so he was pretty screwed. But that was like a laser point meat hook there. There was like 3 Prodota heroes crowding around that Morphling, and somehow he snakes in between all of them and grabs the enemy. That is a very difficult hook to land from Come With Me, and maybe on a different day he hits one of his allies, but he is now looking for another one solo. A pretty easy solo kill, I would say, for a level 7 Pudge. If he lands a hook, oh, that's a little bit off point.
Just short for Come With Me, unfortunately, but really nice influx of gold to Prodota overall in the mid lane. I mean, Kefka, he's now sitting on 1,200 gold, so isn't a world away from this Blink Dagger or set of drums, whatever he wishes to go for. And now Kingman check bottom lane alongside his Dazzle, feeling fairly safe to farm in the face of Ramses, whereas just a moment ago, that certainly would not have been the case. Ramses sitting on his Perseverance, Magic Wand treads at this point with the Aquila there, so still very farmed, but a lot less of a threat after that death in the mid lane. Echo Saber going to be built up here from Garter, and that item is just incredible on this hero. You get one disable down on this Morphling before he's able to Strength Morph, and you can bring him near dead with the God Strength and the Echo Saber.
Garter's doing pretty well in his net worth. Ping is having a little bit more difficulty. They're even going to shift him down to the bottom lane, try to get some safe farm. Unfortunately, it's going to be anything but that. If an X marks, he's in a lot of trouble. X was kind of casted, but then I think he got buzzed or something. It almost landed, but either way, they aren't really finding any free space.
Oh, Come With Me.
Hook onto Lil. Hunka is not going to get anything off, it seems. Maybe he'll sneak a boat in to apply no rum, actually, to anyone. Now with Moonlight Shadow, they're going to try to go for a little bit more. Another hook and land onto Ramses. This time, no Dismember, though. That is a lot of damage, though, with that pure damage. VP are playing a little bit risky by sticking around here. They're gonna leave, but they already lose the Hunka. They
were hoping that Prodota got a little bit bloodthirsty there and walked themselves into a chrono, but not going to be the case. So very well played overall. Ramses top lane immediately has to start strength morphing here, and will replicate up Garter. You can use this illusion to farm, certainly, but that is going to be another costly fight going the way of Prodota, and they are showing signs of life. Ping, though, he's going to be chronoed up, but there is a grave nearby, but they silence up the Dazzle. Nicely placed Static Storm by Solo, the captain, and they will not get a right click off to attempt the bash for Biver, but it's a Chronosphere for a Mirana, and it's a pretty valuable target to bring down there in that bottom lane. Pingvin check, nowhere really near any sort of item progression. He can maybe pick up a point booster off respawn, but for now is going to be kept down as a very minimal threat going forward. Come With Me. Maybe runs into Ramses here, but he was spotted, and likely they spotted that he was hasted up here solo. Nearby the tower, but no vision for the Radiant side of him, and Lil is looking perhaps to pincer them in with TPs into the tower. Solo going to back out for now. Lil has no TP for another 15 seconds. God Strength going to be popped up by Garter. He's going to try and force a reaction here. Solo will be the first to attend this lane. Static Storm on cooldown, though. And a nice hook out from the X. Beautifully played by Come With Me. Unlikely that they kill off the Sven there, but regardless, now Come With Me wrapping around, has a Dismember onto Solo. He's going to be able to pop it. A couple of right clicks should help kill off this Disruptor. Glimpse back. He gets out of rot range. Earn Tick, though, will finish him off, and you cannot deny that. So well played overall by Come With Me, and we saw him perform very poorly the other day on a Sand King and maybe even cost his team the game, but he is the reason they're in the game right now against VP in this tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, hooks always landing, it seems, at least the ones that absolutely matter. And well, gets the team a kill, gets the team a tower, gets another hook onto no one with the dismember and the arrow. No one's gonna die to the stars of Penguin Check. That's a big kill for the Mirana to get. Another kill that's, well, pretty much all come with me. A little bit of help from that Mirana. I was gonna say, like, using the Chronosphere on the Mirana, not a big deal, just because VP don't really have any timings to hit. Prodota's timing with the Blink Dagger and Batrider would have been one that wouldn't have been abusable anyway. But still, not having the Faceless Void really out and about and being a threat means that Prodota can make those super aggressive plays. Go ahead and dive that tier 1 with just a couple of heroes. It's probably not going to be bad, but oh, Penguin Check. He's going to get nailed with the X marks. He can't leap out just yet because the boat is coming in. He is invisible with Static Storm. I think it's enough damage to the Ion Shells. There's 2 of them, and he will go down before he can get out of that silence. They lose the Mirana, but they probably will gain a tower in the mid lane in exchange. There is Kunkka teleporting into a Batrider's clutches. Gotta run. Hook is gonna land into Kefka. Okay, everyone's allowed a couple of bad hooks. Come with me, but until he walks into a Chronosphere, that's a really bad spot to be. Luckily for them, there's no boat. They do interrupt Ramses with the lasso in the back line. Just field onto 3 heroes. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. There's not much damage going to the VP heroes. Waveform coming in. Kunkka dropping very low. The Grave will keep him alive for a couple more seconds. But now Garter is all alone. He has to TP out, but with an X mark, it's not even gonna do it. He can't fight his way out. He's going to be the casualty. Hook onto no one is going to land, but now that puts Kelby in a lot of trouble. Looking for that bash. Never lucky. They have vision, though, for the glimpse. Now he's dead. Not even going to try for the self-denied. Tower goes down. Denied, yes, but everyone else is going to be in a lot of trouble as they torrent up the Dazzle. Grab him. Glimpse, X, nothing? Okay, VP are done. They're going to take their 3-0. Do lose the tower mid lane, but it's a small price to pay.
That was complete disaster from the beginning. Hook lands on Kefka at the start, allows Lil to get away. They played it nicely. I mean, the Chrono hits on 3, but Garter gets the Warcry off beforehand, so they really didn't have all that much damage to contribute in. But thereafter, even the Hook on the last edge ends up killing off Come With Me and Biver, essentially. So that reveal of the Blink Dagger for Kefka, unfortunately, does not net them a kill and actually they end up losing a massive fight. This is going to give VP a lot of momentum going forward into this game, whereas Prodota were definitely scrapping earlier on and kind of nipping at their heels.
Seems to be almost the, oh wait, Come With Me is on the bottom lane, gonna get hit with the big boat. No one just needs a handful of bashes. They'll get the kill with just one. Another easy kill for VP. Seems to be almost the curse of Prodota, where they're always like playing pretty well individually, getting these skirmishes, landing their hooks and their arrows and whatnot, and then there's always just one point in the game where their positioning just turns to absolute shit, and then they get hit with like a 3-man Chronosphere and they all die. That one was a pretty bad one. It didn't lose them the game like we've seen in some of their previous games, but it always seems like their positioning is what ends up killing them off.
They do have Blink Dagger on top of the one on Kefka, now on Garter, and alongside the Echo Saber, this offers them a lot of kill potential. So recently we've seen VP kind of rely somewhat on the Rum in the fight, somewhat on their survivability and the positioning offered by the X, the Chronosphere, and the Static Storm. And if they're able to jump in and burst down one of these key targets like a Disruptor, perhaps even a Void, in these fights, that's going to bode well for Prodota. So this is a very big pickup, certainly not to be undervalued. Oh, 2 heroes onto the cliff. One of them can wait for him now, but immediate TP out from Lil. Now the Moonlight Shadow going to be popped in response. Can they get here in time? This Roche is dropping very quickly. Arrow going to fly through. It connects onto Ramses. Kefka's waiting in the wings. He's going to find the lasso. Onto no one. The glimpse back, though, is going to set no one free. Now the Chronosphere only landing onto Ping. They are going to get the Dismember off onto Pasha. He's burning in the fire as well, but the waveform through. Biver's going to drop. Garter in trouble as well. He's pretty much isolated at this point, all by his lonesome on the Sven. Tries to turn and fight, won't be successful in doing so. Hook, though, is going to find him, but the X will drag him back into the waveform. Double kill for Ramses, and the fight started out so good with Lil not there with the glimpse onto the lasso, though. VP are able to turn it around. Now Come With Me. Well, the glimpse will help him dodge the waveform, but Vacuum's there. And a couple more right clicks with the adaptive strike. Solo will be the one to find the kill, and likely in a moment they'll find the Roche as well. Nice reaction from Solo there, essentially winning that fight. You can't really blame Prodota for going for it, but it ends up in disaster.
so close to being great for Prodota. I mean, the Chronosphere, yeah, I kind of shut them down. As soon as the Ghost Ship came in, it was all over. I'm not really sure how many enemy heroes landed on that Ghost Ship, but it applied rum to everyone on VP, and Prodota are already not with an abundance of damage on their side. They cannot fight through rum on the entirety of VP, so it is VP to once again land their big ultimates. They kill off the Mirana without too much of a hassle. Ping doesn't even have an Aghanim Scepter yet. This is not where you want your core Mirana to be 20 minutes in the game. It is almost done, and that's, of course, very nice, but for VP, they just have so many more of these relevant items. They have the Lincoln Sphere. They now have the friggin' Veil on the Kunkka. They have the mechanism. They're landing their ultimates very easily, and now no one even with the Diffusal Blade and Vlad's. It just seems like Prodota's items are just not to the same caliber of what VP have. Like, even the Blink Dagger on Batrider, that's an amazing item, but in that situation, when you're jumping in for a lasso, you have no Force Staff to pull anyone out. You don't have your teammates there. You're just going in to disable one guy, and you're also disabling yourself, kind of. So even then, it's like Batrider at his weakest.
You disabled yourself. That's rough, man. That's rough, man. But yeah, I mean, 20 minutes in your mid lane, Mirana does not have an Aghanim Scepter. I mean, it's looking grim. And come with me. You know, he's done his best to try and carry them through to this point, but it's going to rely on someone having damage for Prodota's side, and they've been doing an admirable job. VP has controlling Garter, and Garter is the main, if not really only, source of damage without that Aghanim's up on Ping check yet for this Radiant side.
In order for Garter to find success, he has to be beating down on someone who's lassoed or dismembered or arrowed or something, and this just never worked that way. He's always been kited because everyone on VP, or the vast majority of them, have some way to just dance around to Sven. PD are not landing any of their kind of ultimates into Sven damage combos. It's usually not that hard. You just have to make sure that those are actually going to land, but with VP, and there's abundance of ways to save each other, like, how does Garter actually do any damage here? They'll lose the tower for free. VP still sticking around with this Aegis onto Ramses. Their ultimates looking like they're in pretty good shape. Range Rack's probably an easy pickup. Eventually someone's
solo?
gonna get hooked. Oh. How did that miss?
That would have been a great hero to hook in as well, even if no one jumps in and gets a Chronosphere on that one. That feels like it might even go well for Prodota, but no Aegis even utilized yet. Ramsey still holding on to that. They get the range racks essentially for free, and things looking very good for VP here. Maybe just wait for the replicate here, so Ramses has a get out of jail free card and look to continue to press forward. Kefka gonna get hit with the Thunderstrike. He's gonna get X'd up as well. He looked for an opening there, but he did not find it. He will get hooked back though, and it is a wasted Static Storm. Chronosphere does connect onto Biver and Come With Me, and it looks like they'll be able to bring him down, but jump forward from Garter. He'll bring down the Aegis and one. And that's no one down. Ramsey's kind of off by his lonesome now. He'll take out Kefka, but is there a Dismember? It's not available. 5 seconds until hook. He will be able to replicate out. And wisely so, they waited for that replicate in order to initiate a fight. But a jump forward, they are going to catch... Oh, the Stormbolt is going to be blocked off by that Lincoln Sphere. And there we see it. Garter, when he's able to get into the fight, because they force a reactive chrono rather than a proactive chrono, is able to take some of these heroes out. And he takes down no one, as well as Pasha, very quickly.
Yeah, that whole spiel I was giving about him being kited only is... Oh, he's going to find another one. Solo is so many screwed right now. It's only really true when he doesn't land a 3-man Stormhammer. Like, then you can't cast anything. He's going to cleave through all of them. So that is absolutely picture-perfect stunning from Garter. Pasha's going to back you back onto 4 with a nice wall as well. Come With Me's going to get shotgunned down. He will have the TP out. He's going to opt instead for the Dismember. Pasha taking a lot of damage from it. We'll sneak the mech in. Come With Me is going to die, though he does kill himself. Ping is probably not able to kill himself. He's dead to Ramses. Great vacuum combo there from the Darkseer.
They even saw it.
Just as easily as they were killed, they're going to crack back, and this is maybe going to hurt. Mirana does have buyback, but man, you really don't want to spend that.
She did finish up her Aghanim, so, and is nowhere near really a next item other than perhaps Phase Boots. But yeah, it's definitely a costly buyback if you end up using it here. And Garter, he does still have his God Strength, but he's going to jump top lane, and he will find Pasha. Maybe not even necessary that he has an ultimate there, as he had an Echo Saber, but better safe than sorry. It is going to likely stymie the push for now, or maybe even any attempts at the tier 2 bottom lane for VP. So it's going to be a nice pick off, and it's going to allow Pingvinchek to respawn. But mid lane, I just wanted to say that Biver was pinging out the location of Pasha, so they were well aware he was there. Maybe not aware that he had a blink dagger though, and he will be able to get off that big combo in the mid lane to net them a couple of kills, one of which of course denied by the rot.
We have Morphling with that Ethereal Blade, not quite enough to insta-gib a Pudge. You know, Flesh Heap is definitely a skill, and his health pool is definitely not to be messed around with, but you know, other heroes, just to eliminate them real quickly, it's a lot of threats being built up by this Morphling. The Faceless Void, now with the Blink Dag, keeping up in that threat level. And it seems like Prodota have kind of caught a break because the Sven, with this Blink Dagger, constantly getting the jump onto just one poor sucker, now has the crit. So there is a lot of potential upside here for Prodota, but most of it is kind of reliant on VP and them having poor positioning, and that's something you could only bank on so much. Like, you have a Pudge, you have a Bat Rider, you kind of abuse it. Although you can just fail your lasso trying to go for an illusion and then lose your Bat Rider. That's also going to happen. Garter now in a little bit of trouble. Hook's not going to bring him out of trouble. He's still going to get beaten down by Ramses. Stuck in the Static Storm, will get graved up. Still looking for a target, but he doesn't have God Strength on, so he's not even a threat. He's at 1 health. He's going to pop God Strength, instantly die. Come with me, going to try to teleport out. Not going to happen. He'll die as well. Triple kill for Ramses. And a 4-0 slaughter in favor of VP. Okay, that's not what you want, and now VP are in really, again, dominant position.
Yeah, deep shit for Prodota at this point, and God Strength even utilized, so the Sven buyback is relatively innocuous going forward, and it just feels like this is a matter of time before VP are able to march down and take this melee racks in the mid lane. That is going to set them back fairly heavily, Prodota, that is, and it's more so about what VP are gaining than what Prodota are losing at this point. Ramses has 3,800 gold on top of his E-Blade, and you saw him just pop Kefka instantly in that bottom lane. So tier 2 will be taken out in bottom lane, and he can just grab up an Eagle Song if he pleases, or maybe even continue to go into a more damage-oriented build, but either way, things looking very good, and he'll walk back towards the mid lane, be X'd up, you know, clean up some extra farm, and join his team once again.
Or not.
Yeah, he faked it out the X. Get wrecked, Kanka.
Mind games.
Get wrecked.
They're just messing with us at this point. Well, okay, well, either way, VP still find themselves with an absolutely massive win. Lasso from Kefka. He has a Yule Scepter now, which is an incredible item up against what VP are bringing to the table, but still Blink Lasso needs to be supplemented with Blink Sven with God Strength prepped up already, and you're using it on an illusion. Literally the worst way to use that. Seems like Prodota, their only good initiations have been with just Garter. Like, yeah. I feel like he's been causing all the openings for Prodota, and no one else has really been setting up for him. And oh, Garter, you're all alone, bro. That's not a good place to be. Now the Chronosphere is going to drop. Does get the Warcry off beforehand, but no one's doing so much damage, doesn't even matter. He's going to try to fight it out, but the vacuum is going to kill him off. Again, using God Strength at like 1 HP.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just kill Garter? I think I might have just killed Garter.
Yeah, Caster Curse, man. Shit is real. But it does seem like... Well, it does seem like this is a far cry from possible here. Ramses, though, in the mid lane. He's going to get lassoed up. Do they have the damage, though, to bring him down? Even with the Shadow Wave from point-blank range with some units, they still don't have enough. And Ramses, he's got a replicate if he needs it. Bolt is going to come through, provide him with a rum. And he'll even KS. Why not? Just because he's beyond godlike. Torrent is not going to connect onto Biver. He will be able to Glimmer Cape up, and looks like they may have a bit of trouble finding him. But Sven is not going to be up for another 25 seconds. He does not have God Strength for 35. So it definitely feels like VP can continue to press forward in this mid lane, and that's exactly what they'll do.
That's a free 2 kill. That was even Pudge finding solo with the hook dismember combo. You know, just perfectly by himself, pretty much textbook Pudge, and he just didn't have enough damage to kill off Disruptor before Disruptor gets the Static Storm off, uses his Force Staff to push him out of range, and then he's golden, and they turn around and kill the Pudge afterwards. But VP just have those mobility items up on these kind of more niche heroes. Item also coming up. Got a point booster on Kunkka. Is anything on the courier coming out? Is it what I think it is? I think it is. I haven't seen this. I've only seen this once, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
I mean, he kind of has free will as to wherever he wants to go with his item build. They're so far ahead at this point, and it would be nice to see. You've got the Chrono as well, so potentially even pulling heroes into the Chrono, just depending on the kind of circumstances when he drops this boat. But definitely not the scariest Aghanims upgrade in the game. Either way, looks like a desperation attempt here from Prodota and Kefka. Kefka has the gem available. He is going to have his smoke pop, but it's nighttime. It's hard to see. He's going to get E-bladed up. He will get Glimmer Cave. Now on the south side, Chrono is going to hit onto 3. And Ping Vijek, he's even going to blink into the Static Storm for good measure. They'll vacuum them all back. Garter will do nothing. And likely we'll see GG going to be called here. I say nothing. If he got one more hit in there, he would have killed off the Darkseer. But Ping Vijek tries to get off a Static Storm. Maybe brings down Solo. Won't be able to do so. 5-man wipe. VP don't lose a soul in that one. And again, no one delivers on the Chrono, and nighttime just really not helping out Kefka there for that initiation. Not sure that he had the he did not have the Firefly active, so really could not catch vision of Ramses, and Ramses just able to pop him with the shotgun, and right to work they'll go on these buildings. Of course, tournament lives at stake here for Prodota, so calling GG, you know, at this point, perhaps a little bit premature, but it does seem like it's just a foregone conclusion at this point.
Ramses didn't even do anything in that fight. Like, yeah, he was fighting Kefka. There was a 1v1 there happening. He's going to get hooked now.
Purposefully, maybe?
But he didn't do any damage in that Chronosphere. Now Kefka's going to go in again, just get slaughtered by the shotgun. 2 racks is advantage for VP. Third one is protected by a tier 2, but still the damage has been done. That was just all VP in their teamfight combo. That was Chronosphere, Ion Shells, several Ion Shells, Static Storms, and whatnot. A little bit of Faceless Void right-click damage, but GG is called. They're all going to get pulled into another Static Storm. Here comes the boat. Unfortunately, Aghanim Scepter not purchased by the end.
Feels bad.
And VP, they just stomped Prodota.
Yeah, VP looked very sharp. I think they even finished off Fantastic 5 perhaps a bit earlier, but 2 very clean games there, and maybe even more so, beautiful drafts, beautifully put together lineups by Solo. Ramses, he'll be 17, 1, and 8 in this game, but it was a supporting cast doing most of the work for him, and just tons of control offered to them. And whenever you're a Sven in that scenario, you know, the potential for you is great, but in practice, you know, being able to execute that, as we saw in the mid lane, only the one, you know, 3-man Stormhammer into the Cleave combo, and still that's not even enough. So VP, guys, they're going to punch their ticket to the playoffs, much to perhaps no one's surprise in this Group C. They definitely came in as the favorite, and they will join with the likes of Vega Squadron, who did not lose a single game in the group stage and look very sharp, as well as Elements and Friends, who are, you know, littered with veteran names from the CIS scene as well. But for now, guys, it's going to be me and Mike Loris signing out for you and Beyond the Summit here. BTS Series 4 EU Division playoffs are set, and they will begin on Monday. So stick around, you know, follow the Beyond the Summit Twitter. You can follow us at MRP Dota and at Mike Loris. It'll be on the wait screen. So hope you guys enjoyed the cast till then. And until next time, MRP and Mike, we're going to sign out.